Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at some new pods from Solar Tackle. Now, it is the reinvention of their infamous Croc Pod. There is two in the range, the standard and the mini, and we're going to take a look at both of them and just show you the slight differences to help you pick which one might be for you. First up, taking a look at the mini, because this is the one that my rods aren't on. As you can guess, it is slightly smaller in size, so it's slightly narrower, slightly shorter and slightly lower. Now, that is pretty much the only difference between how you sort of piece these together and how you would use them. Big pit reels will fit on both. It's kind of just a personal preference thing. If you want a little bit less weight, this one is a damn sight smaller than that. So that is kind of down to you as the angler, which one you would prefer. I've got mine set up on the standard at the minute for no reason other than it was the first one I pulled out of the van. But if it was me personally and I was a pod user, I would probably go for the more compact one. So Solar Tackle coined this their ground hugging pod, and you can see why. It's got these short stubby legs that on the larger one I just sort of pushed into the ground using my foot. Now, I'm not a pod user, I don't know if that's the done thing to do with pods, but it seemed to work well for me. That just gives it that little bit of extra stability in softer ground like this. But what you can also do is you can rotate this thumb screw and slide those all the way around like that, or all the way around like that, just so if you're on sort of decking or any sort of platform or boarding, that will just sit nice and compact. And if you've got a board at the front of the swim like this on decking, those will just sort of kick into it and hold it steady. So all four legs are fully adjustable. On this one, I've got them pointing down just so I can force them into the soft ground, as I say. The length of the pod is easily adjusted just by undoing these two collars, sliding it out like so, and then just tightening the collars back up again. So you can set the length, you can have it fully retracted or fully extended. It really is customizable, just sort of how you would set it up in certain situations. Now, the stanchions or the uprights, you've got the shorter ones at the front to obviously take an alarm head, and then the rears just take a much shorter backrest, and the P1 backrests fit on this absolutely perfect. So with that in mind, these have got a slight bit of adjustment, so you can just tweak them up and down should you need to raise your rod tips or lower your rod tips. As you can see with this one here, I've got the backs just raised just to get my tips a little bit closer to the water. To take this apart and to assemble it, it really couldn't be any easier. You've got these thumb screws at the top, you just undo, that are sort of sprung loaded to stop the thumb screw from coming out, and then you just pull that piece out and then pull those two pieces out. Obviously, to put it back together, it's exactly the same thing. That part there slots in perfectly, and then you just tighten that down and that's gripped onto it. So it is literally a 10 to 15 second job to build this pod, and it comes in a nice carry case as well to put it all in. It's not something you've got to strip down and take into a million pieces and then you've got to sort of build it when you get to the lake. That's always been my gripe with pods. They're just sort of a lot of ag. I'd rather sometimes push bank sticks into the ground and just get going, but this sort of replicates that, where you can just sort of drop it down, push it in, and away you go. Obviously, my rods right now are on the more standard version, and it doesn't look too garish and big for a pod, and like I say, it is the standard. The mini probably look even nicer. So for me, the main sort of selling point for this is it's quite low profile. I like the upright stanchions rather than when you've got all the sort of T-bar frames and they just look a bit big and clunky, if I'm honest with you. I'm not a pod user, but there are loads and loads of situations that I could implement this into my angling. So I'm always at different day ticket lakes, and a lot of the places down south, especially with the dry weather we've had this summer, the ground is extremely hard. Up here in Lincolnshire, it basically rains all the time, all year round, so I never have those problems. Putting bank sticks in the ground is generally quite easy. But there's been loads of times recently where I've thought I would have been better off if I had a pod in the van. So I'll probably be implementing the mini into some of my fishing in the future. And these are a big investment. They're over £400, but it's stainless, it's turned in the UK. It's going to last you a lifetime. There's loads of old solar pods for sale on eBay and things like that, so it just goes to show that these things do literally last a lifetime. So yes, it is a big investment to sort of get yourself one, but if you need one, they generally don't lose money. and they're sort of one of those things that you're not having to replace every year. They're a sort of lifetime buy item, the same as any stainless really. I said it in a previous solar video where I talked about their Pro-Lock buzz bars and bank sticks, which I use myself, and these are absolutely no different. So if you're looking to get yourself a pod, get yourself over to your local solar retailer, have a look at these, see if it'll fit into your angling.